Good morning. So today we are going to discuss few organizations. Do you know the full form? Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. Nafta, North American Free Trade Agreement, also known as US MACT. Fine. US, Mexico, and Canada. Fine. South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation. Fine. Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Fine. And other is European Union. Fine. So these are few organizations which we are going to discuss today. But what is common in all these organizations? What is common between all these organizations? They are international organizations. Can we say that international organizations? Are they international organization? No. First, answer my question. Are they international organization? Yes. Why? What is common between them and WTO? Is WTO an international organization? Yes. UN is an international organization? Yes or no? Yes. Acha. Okay. UNESCO is an international organization? Yes or no? So what is common between them? These are international organizations. Fine. Why? Because they have members around the world. Okay. All countries in the world, majority of the countries in the world, they are organization. These having the global presence. Are they having the global presence? Yes or no? ब्रेकफास्ट नहीं करके आए तो आवाज तो निकल सकता है ना? Yes or no? No, they are not having global presence. They are having regional presence. So that is why they are not international organization. They are what? Regional organization. Fine. So they are regional organization. So have you understood the difference between international organization and regional organization? So international organizations are having global presence. Okay, they are having what? They are having global presence. They have presence in all the continent, and their mandate is to serve global agendas. Whereas when an organization is formed at regional level to fulfill certain decided objectives, then they are called what? Regional organizations. Fine. So in your syllabus in general studies as well as in the political science, both have these organizations. Fine. In PSIR, they may ask extensive question. In general studies also, sometimes they target these organizations. For example, India and European Union is trying to negotiate free trade agreement. Fine. Now, Trump again came back. Fine. Before Trump, this was North American Free Trade Agreement. But when he got elected in 2016, he outrightly said that whatever it is here, we are not going to have it. And then what happened? In 2020, finally, a new treaty came into the picture known as what? US, Mexico, and Canada Free Trade Agreement. Fine. Now, again, Trump is a president. 20th January, he is going to assume the office. And he have made it very clear regarding trade and tariff. It is going to be his main agenda when US is going to look outwards. What it means that when US look outward, what it means that? It means that when United States is having the foreign policy objectives. Fine. So for example, during the George W. Bush, fine. George Bush Sr. and his son also become the president, George W. Bush. So George W. Bush, he assumed the presidency and he said that Iraq is a focus. Obama came, Iran is a focus. Fine. Joe Biden, Russia is a focus. Fine. But when Donald Trump is coming, he is focused on what? Trade and tariff. Other agendas are what? Sideline. He is focusing on what? He is focusing on trade and commerce to make America great again. What he says that. So if he is going to be president right now, he is again going to initiate certain trade and tariff related issues. Fine. So how this is going to impact India? Fine. How it is going to impact India? So might be a question in the exam related to that in general studies. Fine. In political science also. Now Saarc. Fine. So Saarc was started, but from Saarc it become Shark. Fine. Why I'm saying this? Saarc become what? Shark. Why shark? Why? Because shark is a fish or animal, whatever you want to say. If she is going to hungry, fine, she will not even hesitate to eat its own siblings. So who ended the shark? Saarc. Who ended the Saarc? Saarc was functional. Till then, 2016, it was functional. But what happened? In 2016, attack happened on India, and India outrightly said that no terror and talk together. So Saarc member itself spoiled what? Saarc. So Saarc become what? Shark. Fine. Saarc becomes Saarc. Why? Because its member have spoiled the initiative. Okay. Others are blaming India, and India is blaming others. So blame game is there. But the fact is, Saarc is not functional as of right now. Fine. Though there are certain initiatives to reignite what? Saarc. But still it is what? In the dysfunctional stage. Fine. Now, ASEAN. Fine. ASEAN. So ASEAN, if you will see the ASEAN countries, basically located at where? What is the geographical location of ASEAN countries? Southeast Asia. And specifically which region? The region called as Indo-Pacific. Region called as Indo-Pacific. Fine. So now Indo-Pacific is a focus of foreign policies of all countries. Why? Because of the rise of what? Because of the rise of China. So ASEAN itself have an importance. Fine. India ASEAN. Few years back, India have invited all ASEAN head of the state to be the part of 26th January Republic Day parade. And this year, who is going to be invited? Again, what? A head of ASEAN country. And Indonesia is one of the most influential member in this organization. EU. Fine. European Union. Founded when? Back in 1950s. But EU came properly in the picture back in 1990s. What other thing common you will find here apart from these are being what? Regional organizations. Fine. If you see one common factor among all these organizations, all of them, they are formed before 1990s. All of them. Why 1990 is important? The end of Cold War. The end of Cold War. So all these organizations, if you will see, they are having a root before 1990s and I can say after 1950s. So all these organizations are formed when? After 1950 and before 1990. That means all these organizations were formed during the height of Cold War. What is Cold War? We are going to fight everywhere except in the battlefield. We are going to fight everywhere except in the battlefield. That is what? Cold War in one word. Fine. So this war between two superpowers, US and USSR. So they are going to fight everywhere except where? In the battlefield. So that is why it is called what? Cold War. Fine. So these organizations were formed in the era of what? Cold War. But why? Why? Question is why? Why there is a need of having such organizations? What is the need? So answer lies in the term itself, regionalism. Answer lies in what? Regionalism. Why? Because they are basically what? Regional organizations. So answer lies in itself what? Regionalism. What is ism here? Ideology. What is ideology? Is a ideology is a science? Is ideology is a science? Is a set of ideas? And when the set of ideas are going to be pushed, when the set of ideas are going to be pushed without considering what might be other consequences. People like eat sweets, but may it result into what? High blood sugar. Fine. People like to spend time on social media, which may impact what? Their future. Civil Services 2025 will be transferred to Civil Services 2026. Goalpost will be shifted. So sometimes what we see is set of ideas, what we like, and we think that these set of ideas is going to solve my all problems. Fine. Then this word emerged what? Ism or ideology. So people feel that if we have socialism, it is going to solve all the problems which humans have. Inequality, poverty, welfare is not happening. So we can achieve the welfare, we can reduce the poverty, we can eliminate income inequality by opting what system? Socialism. Fine. Similarly, what capitalists think that if we opt capitalism, then capitalism will lead to what? Capitalism will lead to what? Greater economic equality and high growth. So when you are going to be, in the common word, obsessed with particular way to achieve certain predefined goals, then it is called what? Ideology, or in general, we use the word what? ISM. It means that everything can happen in a democracy under what? Constitution. Nothing without what? Constitution. Whatever you can do in the democracy, it should be under the purview of what? Constitution, not beyond the Constitution. Court, parliament, executive, all of them, they have to make sure that whatever you are going to do, it should be under the arc of what? Constitution, constitutionalism. Fine. So when we have predetermined ideas in our mind to achieve certain objectives, we call what? Ideology, or in other words, we use what? ISM. So now regionalism. So we have a country or nation. What nation aspires? What India aspires? To become a Vishwaguru? Fine. Global leadership. But apart from global leadership, what are the main objectives of a country? If I'll ask you, what will your answer? Answer. Protecting national interest. Protecting what? National interest. Now this term national interest itself is a very wide term, and it can be go in the multiple directions. So if I'll ask you what is the first and foremost main objective of any country, that is welfare of their people. Welfare of their people. So this is the foremost objective of every country, or not? So how we can achieve this? We can achieve on our own. How? We can focus on our internal political system, how policies are being made, how policies are being executed. We can do that. But because we are living in a world which is having interdependence, fine, we are not able to achieve all the stated goals of welfare on our own. Agreed or not? So we need a interaction with the other countries. Yes or no? So we need interaction with the other countries. And this interaction with the other countries, for what purpose? Welfare. Welfare purpose. So this is why we need to interact with the neighbors or the far away country. Neighbors first. We can contact neighbor first, then we can reach to other countries. So if you are able to cooperate at regional level, then you can achieve better welfare. Why? Because we want to achieve goals related to what? Welfare. And these welfare related goals can be achieved better if we are going to have close interaction with our neighboring countries. Fine. So for that purpose, this concept emerged. What concept? Regionalism. So certain scholars or political scientists, they found that with the regionalism, we can attain all of the maximum goal of what? Welfare. And that is why they emphasizing the role of what? Regional integration, and the term emerged what? Regionalism. Fine. The term emerged what? Regionalism. Regionalism you can also find in the internal polity of a country. For example, India. The divide between northern states and southern states. Fine. Or the division because of the language. That regionalism is also there. But in the local politics, regionalism is sometimes seen as a positive and negative thing. But in international politics, it is always considered as a what? Positive multiplier to achieve what? Higher goals. Fine. Now, if we have the idea of regionalism, fine. If we are able to connect with our regional partners or nearby countries, we can achieve what? Higher welfare. Okay, we have this idea. But actually what happens in the politics, world politics? We have an idea about the World War, World War II, World War I. What are the major reasons for the World War? World War I, World War II. If I'll ask what is the main reason for that? Because of regional aspiration. European countries, though it was basically a European war, World War One and World War Two was specifically World War One. It wasn't European inter-European war, but because these European countries have colonies around the world, so that war spread in the colonies also, and it called what? World War. But why this World War happened? Because of order to decimate others' influence in the region, and that led to what? First World War. After First World War, many countries have tried. Because of this World War One, we have seen a lot of problems. So we want to make sure that no war should happen in the future. And they have created what? An international organization known as what? League of Nations. Fine? They have created what? League of Nations. But League of Nations failed. And Second World War started in 1939. Now, certain people find that this international organization was weak. And that is why it got what? Failed, and Second World War happened. Certain. But there are certain people who do not believe that. No, it is not a problem of what? It is not a problem of an international organization. It is a problem of not having what? Regionalism. So one scholar, his name was David Mitrany, is a political scientist, and he wrote a book. He wrote a book in 1943, and in his book, he has mentioned, what he has mentioned, the reason of war, why we are having a war, is not because of having conflictual interest and failure of organizations like what? League of Nations. No, it is not a reason. The reason is countries are having conflictual interest and they are ready to fight to achieve their objectives. But if we are able, for example, these are the four countries. So he said that there is more conflict among them. But if they are going to have more cooperation among them, then that conflict can be solved through talks rather than going for what? Fight. So if we are going to emphasize on more regional cooperation, then these regional cooperation have a potential to solve all those issues which are very critical in the nature, and they do not want to talk on that. So it is very important to focus on what? Regional cooperation. Fine? Very important. So, and his approach is like, what this country can do. Maybe they have the conflictual interest, but at the same time, they are also having some common interest. So the area of common interest should be put first and try to create more cooperation. So when the cooperation will be established, then gradually we can go to those issues which are also having no cooperation or conflict. So first focus on what areas where we can cooperate. Then go to those areas where there is a possibility of cooperation but not happening. Then go to that area where the conflictual interests are there. And in that way, we can achieve more integral way of happening regionalism. Classic example is what? European Union of this approach. David Mitrany's approach. And why it became very famous? David Mitrany's approach. So he have given this approach in year 1943. He wrote a book. I'll make you write that book and other things. First understand. So he wrote a book in year 1943, and he has mentioned this approach. And this approach is called as spillover effect. This approach is called what? Spillover effect. Cooperation in one area will lead to cooperation in what? Other areas. So to achieve this thing, what we have to do? We have to focus on those areas first where there is a good possibility of what? Cooperation. Work on those areas, establish a communication, have a regular interaction so that there will be more cooperation. Then go to those areas which are conflictual, but not intense conflict is there. Then cooperation will be established. Then we will ready to discuss and negotiate on those areas where the conflict is there. And again, the classic example is what? European Union. Why? If you see the history of World War II, you will find that European countries like France and Germany, they do not want to see each other. During the war, if they found that you are German and you are alone and you are in the French group, then they will kill you. Same thing with the Germany. In fact, under the Germany, like under the Hitler, France was nowhere in the map. Fine. So that was an hostility during the Second World War among those European countries. But today, Germany and France, they share the border. You can do this. Germany, France. France, Germany. You can do this. Because they are not having any visa process to go in one country to another country. They are having one common currency. How it become possible? That is a classic example of what? David Mitrany's approach. What he said that, try to focus on those areas where cooperation is possible. So after the horror of the Second World War, European countries have decided to establish a company, joint ownership company, European Iron and Steel Company. So they established a company known as what? European Iron and Steel Company. Okay, plant was in France. Steel plant was in France. But the raw material is coming from where? Germany. Coal is coming from Germany. Iron ore is coming from Germany. So initially, many people have objected. But it was less conflictual area. So Iron Steel Company was established and this started production. And Europe was destroyed because of the war. So to rebuild the Europe, they need what? Raw material. They need basic things like iron, steel, and cement. So with this initiative of this, European demand came. Many of the European companies need what? Steel. And they will prefer to purchase steel from Europe itself or from other countries. Europe, why? Because it is going to less cost for them. So they have started purchasing steel from where? European Steel Company. And who are the joint holder? Germany and France. And both are getting what? Benefited. So when both got benefited, they established an idea to establish other companies. So in the Europe, after the successful venture of European and Steel Company, many of the joint ventures established. Many of the joint venture. Fine. For example, Airbus. Fine. So at global level, two major of the aviation sector, one is Boeing and other is what? Airbus. So if you'll see the Airbus, it is a European consortium. It is a European consortium. So if you will see the major companies from Europe, fine, major companies of Europe, only few companies are only one nation based. Majority of the companies are based in different part of the Europe. Different part of the Europe. Fine. So this approach went very extensive. Why? Because establishing a common company is going to decrease certain expenditures. Why? If Europe, suppose Germany want to establish a plant, steel plant. Fine. So they can establish their steel plant. But certain things they need to outsource from the other countries. And they are not going to talk to France. Why? Because I have a conflict with you. Then what will cost Germany? Germany is going to import that material from Africa or America or Asia. They have to import. So their cost is going to what? Increase. So better to import from what? Neighboring country. And what is an objective of every country? Welfare. So let's focus on what? Welfare and establish cooperation. So because of that, many of the European ventures started. And these European ventures lead to more transaction between whom? Countries in the Europe. And later on they realize that if we are doing more transactions, let's have a common policy of trade and commerce with other countries. Combined bargaining power is much better than what? Single person. If you go to any shop and you'll say that I want to purchase 1 kg of potato, he is going to quote the price. But if you are going to say that okay, this is the price of 1 kg, what about 50 kg? Then he'll say that okay. I'll put down the price. I'll put down the price. No, but fine, but I need delivery at my home without any cost. Okay. So he maybe agree. If you are going to ask him 50 kg, a good amount you are going to ask, definitely you can bargain better. So common bargaining power is much better than what? Single bargain power. So lone wolf is not good than what? Pack of wolves. So pack of wolves even can defeat any animal. Yes or no? So this approach is much better. So they establish for their domestic usage, steel, European Iron Steel Company. But gradually that European steel company started selling the steel product to what? Different part of the world. And they found that if they are able to go for what? Common bargain, then it will be good for what? Them. In both cases, selling something or buying something. Fine. But if you are divided, they are selling steel, they are also selling steel, they are also selling steel, they are also selling the steel. All of them, they are selling the steel. Classic bargaining way, you went to A and you said that I want to purchase steel from you. And you said that what is the price? He said this price. No, but B is selling at this price. C is selling this price, or D is selling what? This price. So in that way, all of them, they are going to compete each other and they are going to sell their product at lower profit margin. But if they will create what? Cartel. 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 Or a combined organization. Then they can negotiate in the better way. You went to A to purchase the steel and he quoted the price. And you said that no, I'll go to whom? B. And he said that whether you want to go to B, C or D, price will be what? Same. Then the person who want to negotiate with you, his capacity to bargain is going to what? Decrease, and your bargaining power is going to what? Increase. So Europe focuses on what? This aspect. So from a company, they started cooperation in what area? Trade areas. Any product which enter in what? Europe. Or Europe is going to sell any product to any part of the world. So now European countries started what? Common bargaining power. So they started from company, they established a council of European cooperation. And with this cooperation, we can better trade deals. And they got benefit of that. So when you cooperated for the production, for bargain, you found the benefit. So if I am doing something and I am getting benefited with that approach, I will progress or I will step back. Progress. So this is why they started with the joint production. Then they started what? A kind of common market. They have created the common market. Common market means what? If you want to sell, you have to bargain combinedly. If you want to purchase, bargain combinedly. Any product which will enter, suppose that this is European Union. Fine. Any product will enter in this area. or any product which is going outside this area, that is going to have a one common policy of all European members. So that led to what? A rapid rise in the economic growth and prosperity. And then they realized that it is working very well. But because they are having border restrictions, they are having what? Border restrictions. Movement of goods from this area to this area have to pass what? Lot of restrictions. And that restrictions is causing less competitiveness in the European. So they have decided, okay, let's dilute this border. Apart from having what? Apart from having a common unique citizenship. Like here is a Germany, here is a France. So Germany is giving the citizenship to the Germans, and they are giving the citizenship to whom? French. So they are called German, they are called what? French. They are having the German passport, they are having French passport. And if you are going to enter here, you have to do all necessary paperwork. And that should be initiated at least 3 months in advance. So suppose that you want to go for a business deal. Fine. So you need to initiate those things what? At least 3 months in advance. Now imagine that you want to go to Germany from France for a business deal, just a what? Jump. And you reach to where? Germany without any extra effort. So that is going to increase your productivity and less paperwork. Yes or no? So because of that, they started thinking if we are going to have what? Borderless things. Fine. To certain scholars, fine. Certain scholars have started giving the idea of pooled sovereignty. Pooled sovereignty. So what is sovereignty? Sovereignty means I am independent. I can take my decisions without getting influenced by others. Fine. Why? Because I am not under pressure of you. So this is the basic idea of what? Sovereignty. But certain European scholars, they have suggested that it is a pooled sovereignty. Why? Because sovereignty, what you will do with the sovereignty? I have a sovereignty because I want to achieve the objectives. And if I'm not having the sovereignty, I will not able to achieve the welfare. But these scholars says that in order to achieve the objective of what? Welfare. Sovereignty is a hurdle. Sovereignty is what? Hurdle. You have to go for what? Pooled sovereignty. So certain aspects have to be diluted. For example, entry of a German citizen in the France, it should not be seen from perspective of sovereignty. It should be seen from what? Greater idea of what? Welfare. So certain aspects of the sovereignty should be diluted, and it can be what? Pooled. Do you know pooling? What pooling means? Suppose that there is an area, fine, and in this area or this particular area, 7 people are living at different places. Fine, they are living at different places, and all these places are maximum away of what? 3 kilometers. And all these 7 people work here in workplace. For example, BHEL, they are living in the Nagar and they have to go where? BHEL. And all of them, they are going to what? Their own separate vehicle. So finally they have decided that rather than going for their separate vehicle, let's have one vehicle. Fine, we can hire one vehicle and whatever the cost will be there, we will share. So that is going to be great benefit for them or not? Because BHEL, I think it is somewhere around 20 kilometers away from here, Ashok Nagar. So everyone is traveling 40 kilometers in a day and they are putting the money on the vehicle as well as petrol. Fine, having one common vehicle is going to help them or not? So what they did, they have pooled their resource for commutation purpose. So sometimes a country like Germany, I have a right to issue what? A visa. I will issue the visa when you are going to where? Germany. German citizen is there and he want to visit where? France. So German citizen have to approach where? France to get what? Visa. Similarly, French want to visit where? Germany, and they need what? Visa. So in this way, they need to what? They need to interact any other country's authority. So rather than having the visa offices of different country, create one organization, EU visa office. And here, what we are going to do, certain documents you have to present. You are citizens of what? Germany. So you have put your documents there, and within a day, they have given a what? Permission to visit where? France. Earlier, this work was happening with whom? German government and French government. Now, these government need not to focus on what? Need not to focus on this visa aspect. This visa aspect is taken by what? One common authority of European Union. So in this way, they have removed this hurdle also. Now European people can move what? European people can move from one country to another country without any what? Visa requirement. Just they get what? One permission letter, and they can move from one country to another country on easily basis. Now the next aspect. Now trade and commerce is happening common basis. Movement is happening, but still currency is what? Different. And every time you are facing what? Every time you are facing an issue of what? Currency exchange. So let's go for what? Common currency. And they have created what? Euro zone. And this zone is having what? One common currency known as what? Euro. So they have euro, and if they have common currency, they must have what? Common bank. And this is named as what? European Central Bank. So European Central Bank. All these things have evolved over the period of time. So imagine two countries which do not want to see each other in 1945. They do not want to see each other in 1945. Within a span of 60 years, they have common currency. Common currency. They have removed the border restrictions. Fine. At a time, if you are moving from Germany to France, fine. Shoot to kill was a order. Shoot to kill. If you are going to the buffer zone area and you cross the buffer zone area, they will kill you. They are not going to ask anything. They will directly shoot you. So sometimes in certain areas, there are the restrictions. And they mention that. What they mention that? If you will cross, you will be killed. And if you will survive, then we will make sure that you are going to be killed. So suppose that they shoot you and you survived, they will shoot you again. So that you should be what? Killed. So that was a hostility among these European countries at a point of time. But now they emerge as a what? A role model for entire world's geographical areas like Asia, America, Africa, to have an organization like what? EU. So European Union is a best example of how this approach of David Mitrany can lead to what? Greater integration, common interest, serving the most important thing what? Welfare. Understood? So this is why this approach is becoming what? Very common in order to achieve what? Greater objectives. Fine. So this is why the concept of regionalism emerged. And like EU, many other regions have started this thing. African Union is there, ASEAN is there, Saarc is there, fine. Nafta is there, Apec is there, fine. OECD is there, fine. Apec is there. So a lot of organizations were formed to serve different interests. For example, Apec, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Country. What the common interest is there? Export of oil. No, export of oil is not a main concern. The price of the crude oil is a main concern. We should not decide the price with the hostility. Ki Iran is selling, so I'll sell at lower price, so entire market will come to me. So OPEC is an example of what? Cartelization. So that we can go for achievement of common objective. Fine. But sometimes the conflictual things are going to overshadow this. Classic example is what? Saarc, which become what? Shark. Fine. Classic example is what? Saarc become shark. Fine. So sometimes it happens. But if you will see the phase of regionalism, from 1950 to 1990, and then 1990 onwards. What is the main difference? This is an era of what? Globalization. Fine. So even those organizations which were formed in this phase, fine, gradually they have, because they were formed in the era of what? Cold War. They are formed in the era of what? Cold War. Acha, natural partner for EU is US or Russia? Naturally, they have to go where? Naturally, Russia. But can they? No. Why? Compulsion with what? US. So, imagine when Soviet Union is there. Fine. Soviet Union is there. And Soviet Union was a combined power. So, because of the compulsion being a part of what? This alliance, even our economic benefits lie with this cooperation with the Soviet Union. Think, European Union, European countries, basically Western European countries, okay? So Western European countries, if they will do the trade and commerce with the Eastern European countries, their cost will be less and they will have a more benefit. But they are preferring to do business with whom? Other part of the world. Why? Because they are compulsion of what? Commitment for the alliance with whom? US. But what happened? In 1990, European Union disintegrated, and gradually certain countries which are part of Eastern Europe, they also become a member of what? EU. Even Ukraine also have applied for what? Membership of EU. And NATO also. To give me the membership. Fine. Why? Because in the context of Russia, they want the membership of NATO. But many member countries like SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So it was a Shanghai Cooperation Organization between China, Russia, and certain former territories of where? Central Asian territories, non-independent countries of Central Asia. But India is interested. Pakistan is also interested. And see the irony. In 2016, when attack happened, India cancelled it. What? India have cancelled that they are not going to have a Saarc summit in Islamabad. Talk and terror cannot happen. But in the same year, Indian Prime Minister visited for the meeting of what? SCO. Where the Pakistan Prime Minister was also there. Why you have not said no? Why you have not said no to SCO? You have said no to what? Saarc. So in the Saarc, Pakistan is there, India is there, and other countries are there. Similarly in SCO. In SCO, Pakistan is there, India is there. You have not said no to that. Why? Why? Think. Why India have not said no to that? Huh? Chinese dependency. And Russia's dominance. Russia said, "Nani, you have to come. You are my close friend. How you can say no to me?" Fine. Because of that. What are the reasons?
Interest in Central Asia strategy.
India's interest in Central Asia. One good example. Apart from that, common currency, common interest. The main reason is Saarc is an organization where India have what? Command and control. Command and control. That is why sometimes it is said that many scholars put a blame on India. Ki India have a big brother attitude. That is why other countries are not comfortable with whom? India. They are not comfortable with whom? India. So in India, in the case of Saarc, India having the capacity of what? Regional hegemon. Whereas in the case of SCO, you are not able to do what? You are not able to assert the things. And you are looking that organization from the point of view of greater economic benefit. Less political benefits, greater economic benefit. Whereas in the case of Saarc, India see economic benefits are there. But what most important thing is? Political benefits. So that political benefits are more important. And if we will go to Islamabad for the Saarc meeting, it is going to hurt our local sentiment. So that is why no Saarc, but yes to what? SCO. India have participated SCO, a terror group organization. Against what? Terrorism. Imagine that. Indian forces and Pakistani forces. Pakistani army and Indian army are participating in a joint exercise against terrorism under SCO. They are fighting for an entire life. Now they are what? They are fighting together against what? Terrorism. So a drill was happened under the SCO flag. Under the SCO, one joint exercise was happened, and that joint exercise was against terrorism. And under that, all countries have sent their contingent. Means Indian army people went, Pakistani army people. Both army people are fighting against whom? Terrorists. And Indian army is saying that Pakistani army is a terrorist. But at SCO, you are fighting together. So, if that can happen at SCO, why it cannot happen at where? Saarc. But here, our national interests are not colliding. They are not having convergence. They are having what? Divergence. Fine. You went to attend a summit in Pakistan. Imagine, you are an Indian Foreign Services official. You went to the Pakistan to attend certain summit. And generally in summit, the flag and the map of all countries are there. And because it is hosted by Pakistan, so one by one, they are going to ask members to have a photo shoot. So you went there for the photo shoot, and the Pakistani official is there, and you are here, and in the background, there is a flag and map. And that map is of Jammu and Kashmir, like this. No, it is not like this, it is like this. And you have put the photo. And next day in the Hindu, photo is there. India accepted. Then it is going to be what? A big political upheaval. So even they are very conscious. Mr. S. Jaishankar, when he went there for a recent summit, he was very clear. The photo shoot is going to happen only under the flag, not under the what? Map. So you are having such a hostility. Fine. So because of such reasons, sometimes regional cooperation is not possible. So we have to understand what circumstances may lead to what? Organization like EU. What circumstances may lead to organization like what? Saarc. Two extreme example. Greatest cooperation, least cooperation. Saarc versus what? EU. And in between there is a ASEAN. There is multiple organization. Have you understood the framework? Is the framework is clear? What leads to the formation of what? Regional organization. What leads to the establishment of regional organization, and what may lead to cooperation and what may lead to what? Conflict. So basically, any regional organization have three aspects: political, social, rather than social, better it is called to economic. Political, economic, and third is strategic. Political, economic, and strategic dimension. So when these dimensions are going to what? Having a convergence. All three dimensions are converging among the regional countries. If all three dimensions are going to collide, all of having in the same direction, all of them, they are looking in the same direction, then we can have what? Organizations like EU. And when they are having different directions, especially at where? Political and strategic, then we have what? When we have this strong communication at economic level and strategic level, then we have an organization like what? ASEAN. When we ignore these two aspects and completely focus on what? Economic aspect, then we have an organization like Apec and Nafta. So 5 organizations I have mentioned. Fine. EU, which is showing greater convergence of political interest, economic interest, and strategic interest. What does strategic means? What strategic means? Where we have a strategy, that is a strategic. Huh? What does strategic means? Geopolitical advantage. Have you planned for your exam? Have you made a strategy? What strategy you have made? Okay, let's see what is going to happen. What is strategy for prelims? What is strategy for mains? Fine. Suppose you want to prepare for the civil services. You are in graduation first year or second year or third year, whatever. You want to prepare for the civil services. So you have a goal of what? You have a goal of civil services in your mind. Now you want to achieve this objective. So what is your plan? Plan is to be a civil servant. Now this plan can be materialized by just having a dream, or you have to plan it properly. Plan it. So what you have planned? Okay, my graduation is going to be completed in the year. Suppose that you are in graduate first year graduate student in 2023. So 23, 24 and 25. So in 25 you are going to be graduated. So what I can do, I can go for my coaching. Fine, I can go for my coaching, and after completion of coaching, I'll go for the test series, and with the third year of graduation, I will appear in what? Civil services exam. So this is plan you have made. This is plan you have made. But under that plan, you have to go for what? Coaching. But you are resourceless. You are resourceless. You do not have the resource. Parents are not capable of providing what? Resource. So you have to change your plan or not. And you have to make your strategy accordingly or not. So when we have a stated objective, okay, or our goal, for example, for countries, their national interest. They have their national interest. And in order to achieve their national interest, they have certain resources in their hand. And how these resources are going to help them to achieve their objectives, we have to make a plan or strategy. And what are the implications on that? India want to have a greater economic integration in Asia. But India know that who is a hurdle? Pakistan is a hurdle. So we have to make a strategy in two ways. Either try to take Pakistan on board or completely put out of the board. So what India did? India have made another organization known as what? BIMSTEC, and completely put what? Completely put Pakistan out of the board. Fine. So we have to understand how we are able to achieve our objectives. And in order to achieve those objectives, we have certain plans and strategy. And that plan and strategy are going to work or not. And if they work, how it can work in the better manner. Then we call it as a what? Strategic. So if